One day, spatial gates suddenly burst open, unleashing 7 monstrous creatures that ravaged Earth, transforming the blue planet into a chaotic battlefield. Countless lives were lost forever, departing from this world for eternity. Only a fortunate few awakened to supernatural abilities lying dormant within them. Like a miracle, they were hailed as humanity's saviors, shouldering the responsibility of protecting the world. Among them rose the hero, Lee Hyen-yu, who was praised as the invincible Steel King. He was humanity's last hope, a steadfast shield against the forces of darkness. But while standing at the pinnacle of glory, possessing unmatched power and immense fame, an unexpected event occurred. Lee Hyen-yu was betrayed, lost everything, and was exiled from Earth. Upon awakening, he realized he had returned to the past. However, ironically, he found himself in the harsh reality of mandatory military service. Now, Lee Hyen-yu had to endure brutal and excruciating training. The young man was subjected to a training regime akin to hell on Earth. Lee Hyen-yu gritted his teeth, enduring, his head bowed in helplessness. Suddenly, he stealthily retrieved a bullet from his pocket, and then, in an unbelievable act, he placed the bullet in his mouth and chewed it ferociously. A sudden notification popped up from the system. Current controllable metal volume, 300 grams. In a not-so-distant future, all of humanity will be annihilated. Blood will flow like rivers, staining the earth crimson. Our protagonist stands alone against the world, facing a fanatical group of players from the Church of the Lord's Order. This order possesses not only terrifying power, but also mastery of dirty, underhanded tactics. They beat our hero to a pulp, leaving him with teeth scattered on the ground. In his final moments, Lee Hyen-yu was struck in the face by a massive rock, thrown by a large, dark, and hideous man. Thus ended a life he never thought he would. Return to the past. Like in fictional stories, Lee Hyen-yu continued to diligently train, striving relentlessly. The system suddenly spoke. Congratulations on discovering the method to develop your power. You have 10 minutes remaining to complete the metal consumption task. The commanding officer on the other side was still screaming in a fit of rage. Witnessing the scene, the protagonist trembled, goosebumps erupting all over his body. Why was he back in the past? It made no sense. Now all his skills were reset to 0, just like when he first started. Going back was one thing. But why did it have to be to this miserable time in the military? Ordered around like a dog with no freedom whatsoever. The food was atrocious. The smell so repulsive it was hard to swallow. Lee Hyun, standing in line waiting for his turn to eat, was suddenly called over by the chief officer. He was ordered to complete a task before being allowed to eat or drink. He felt as drained and exhausted as a dog after a marathon. He had just returned from a grueling training session, and now he was being sent off to do something else. What the hell was it this time? The officer smirked, his eyes filled with contempt. He looked at Lee Hyun as if he were nothing but a useless, incompetent fool. Lee Hyun suddenly remembered this arrogant officer. It was Oh Sang-wook, the infamous scum of the Fifth Army. He frowned, pointing condescendingly, acting like he was some high and mighty superior, ordering him around. The very picture of a bully. If you're that useless, you should at least learn to do something else. Lee Hyun, in his past life, he thought he would never be able to overcome this pressure. He felt incredibly bitter being mocked by these mediocre people, but currently, he wasn't strong enough to fight back. Lee Hyun remained silent, his eyes cold and sharp, directed at the crescent hand officer. The officer, seeing Lee Hyun's attitude, felt extremely irritated. He chanted, summoning a magic circle around his hand, and then attacked Lee Hyun. Lee Hyun easily dodged the attack, a mocking smile playing on his lips. He thought to himself, if there were some delicious food, he might consider working. The reason Lee Hyun was so confident was because there were many people watching. The officer wouldn't dare to act too recklessly. Lee Hyun taunted, someone entangled in rumors of abusing their power. How could they possibly become a person of high standing in society? Thought going all the way to Australia would knock you down a peg. He roared, urging the others to hurry up and get to the table. Lee Hyun-wook told his friend to go ahead and eat. He wasn't hungry. He quietly slipped out back, trying to rein in his emotions, telling himself to stay calm. I can still handle this. This is nothing compared to what that bastard Gordon Presley did to me in my past life. Lee Hyun-wook seethed with hatred for that damn Gordon Presley. If he got stuck here longer for causing trouble, he'd never be able to catch up to that bastard. His system suddenly appeared, announcing the completion of the metal absorption process. He can now control 1 more gram of metal. Lee Hyun-wook glanced at the notification indifferently. He pulled out a handful of spoons he'd borrowed. It wasn't time yet to let the world know about his leveling up ability. While everyone inside was in a frenzy, because there were no spoons to eat with, he calmly bent the spoons outside. The system announced the commencement of metal absorption. Remaining absorption time, 13 seconds. Projected increase in metal manipulation capability upon completion, 1.25 grams. Lee Hyun-UK held an M7 knife, weighing approximately 140 grams in his hand. If he wanted to increase its weight for greater destructive power, his current ability only allowed him to control a single knife. He could only increase a bullet's weight by 1 gram. Even a spoon could only be augmented by 1.25 grams. At this rate, it would take a long time for him to regain the strength he possessed before his death. Lee Hyun-UK looked up at the watchtower, a dull ache suddenly throbbing in his head. Only 3 days to prepare, and then he would have to face a level 1 boss monster. He resumed practicing his metal manipulation. 3 days later, at Guard Post 5, 3rd Battalion, 1st Brigade, Sector A, Lee Hyun-UK was on guard duty with a fellow soldier. Park Junimo tried to strike up a conversation with him, but the aloof protagonist seemed completely indifferent. Hyun-UK glanced at the system notification board. Suddenly, he turned and asked Junimo if he trusted him. Park Junimo had absolutely no idea what was going on. Despite this, he confidently affirmed his faith in the protagonist. Meanwhile, in a mysterious location, a spatial gate suddenly appeared. From within the gate, hordes of ferocious monsters poured out, ready to wreak havoc and destroy the earth. At this moment, everyone was still sound asleep. Only Lee Hyun-UK stood alone, bravely facing the monstrous horde. He launched a dagger straight into the face of one of the monsters. He had been patiently waiting there for a very long time, an entire day. Finally, the monsters had revealed themselves. The monster he just struck rose, glaring at Lee Hyun-UK with burning hatred. Lee Hyun-UK remained calm. He had never failed an ambush before. Perhaps being only level 1 was proving to be a slight hindrance. This was his second chance, and he didn't like having to repeat anything twice. A horde of ferocious monsters lunged at him. Hyun-UK, with a cold expression, expertly wielded his sharp blade, ruthlessly decapitating each monster one by one. A glowing red gem suddenly dropped from the carcass of one of the monsters. Without hesitation, he picked up the gem and popped it into his mouth, crunching down on it. Ugh, that tastes awful. Hyun-UK possessed the ability to see glimpses of the future, and he realized he needed to absorb metal to increase his strength. His mana would also be significantly enhanced after absorbing metal. This meant that if he consumed all the metal items he obtained from now on, the arduous life ahead would become much easier. After swallowing the gem, he controlled his blade to return and mercilessly slaughtered the remaining monsters. Hyun-UK turned and threatened Junimo. Shut up. Keep your mouth shut. Don't report the appearance of these monsters to your superiors. If the military discovers this place, all these weapons will fall back into their hands. Hyun-UK showcased his masterful combat skills, taking down dozens of monsters in quick succession. A massive beast tried to take advantage and attack him from behind. Hyun-UK, quick as lightning, swung his weapon, decapitating the colossal monster. Another red gem dropped, rolling across the ground. He turned to glare menacingly at the remaining monsters. Any of you who dare try a sneak attack again, I'll tear you apart and eat you alive, he growled. Each of Hyun-UK's steps instilled terror in the monsters. They trembled before his power, no longer daring to make a move. As he fought, he vigilantly scanned his surroundings, searching for the leader of these creatures. A cunning, treacherous, and ruthless demon ape king. Hyun-UK bent down, pretending to pick up the red gems on the ground. He had laid a tempting trap. Surely, the demon ape king wouldn't miss this opportunity. Just as he predicted, the demon ape king, who had been hiding in the trees, pulled off a circular ring from his neck and began chanting. Hyun-UK smirked slyly. He had been waiting for him. Picking up a stone, he immediately took a fighting stance. Meanwhile, the soldiers on the hill remained completely oblivious to what was happening. With a single move from the goblin sorcerer, sharp thorns suddenly erupted beneath Hyun-UK's feet. The smug sorcerer thought he had defeated him and threw his head back in a triumphant laugh. But he didn't expect Hyun-UK to be completely unharmed. Having appeared beside the goblin, as if by magic. Hyun-Yuke hurled a knife at it with lightning speed. The goblin sorcerer narrowly dodged the attack. He swung his arm, deflecting Hyun-Yuke's incoming knife. Hyun-Yuke feigned a look of terror. The goblin sorcerer, even more smug, mocked him relentlessly. But he didn't realize that while he was distracted, Hyun-Yuke had secretly manipulated the knife to return, aimed straight at the sorcerer. The sharp blade nearly grazed his throat, but the goblin managed to catch it just in time. He gritted his teeth, letting out a terrifying screech. Brother. Hyun-Yuke was shocked that the monster could block his greatsword. It seems my old nickname, 7 Defeats, wasn't wrong. Hyun-Yuke spoke loudly, his voice filled with confidence. You dare to send an entire goblin gang to hunt me down? Even if you're covered in wounds, don't you dare complain. Get down here. After his overwhelming display of power, Hyun-Yuke suddenly realized he might have gone a bit overboard. Now, he wasn't sure what to do next. The final boss had appeared and confronted him directly, making the underlings more aggressive than ever. His system flashed a warning. Only 40% energy remained. At this point, Hyun-Yuke had no other choice. He had to go all in. Go big or go home, even if it took a long time. He had to eliminate all these monsters before returning to base. Both sides were preparing to engage in a fierce battle, when Hyun-Yuke suddenly heard the cry of the Avenger, Junimo. The lion demon beast also sensed something was wrong. It let out a sinister chuckle and ordered its minions to attack Junimo. The Avenger was completely unaware of what was happening, only able to scream in panic. Hyun-Yuke signaled for Junimo to duck. He immediately raised his gun and took down the monster in a flash. He took down the remaining monsters one by one. But when he turned back, the goblin shaman and its followers had vanished without a trace. They had escaped successfully. Just then, the radio on his shoulder crackled to life. Enemy forces were making suspicious movements. They had heard the gunfire and immediately issued a warning. Hyun-Yuke had no choice but to report the situation. A mysterious barrier appeared in the area. Confirmed monsters or goblins. After the initial encounter, the goblins retreated from the area. Outpost 5 has no casualties. The other side continued to issue commands. Outpost 5 of Hyun-Yuke returned to defensive positions. Await further instructions. Hyun-Yuke knew she would be arriving soon. She was a knight belonging to the Anti-Monster Special Task Force. Lieutenant Seo Eun-ha. If things played out like his previous life, she would seal the gate and confiscate all weapons. Among the spoils, the most prominent was the legendary adamantium equipment, a lost treasure from ancient times. It was considered the ultimate, unparalleled equipment, leading people to hail Hyun-Yuke as the Iron Emperor, the Invincible King. If this rare opportunity was missed, it would be another 4 years before it appeared again. If the tragedy of the past repeated itself, everything would return to the starting point of reincarnation. He would die here again. Therefore, he had to complete the mission before the backup team arrived. The bloodthirsty goblins always crave human lives, but they wouldn't risk entering the city center at this time. With their pack-hunting nature, the dense population in the city was a major obstacle for the goblins. Suddenly, an emergency alert blared from the radio. Outpost 6 was under heavy attack by goblins. Hyun-Yuke felt that the time had come. He immediately yelled into the radio, declaring he would go to assist, then abruptly cut off the communication, ignoring the shouts and curses from the other end. Junimo frantically clung to Hyun-Yuke's leg, begging him not to act recklessly. Defying a superior's orders was a serious offense. Not only are they caught in rumors of being arrested, but they also risk facing military justice. Hyun-Yuke refused to listen, insisting Squad 6 consisted only of mages and marksmen. How can long-range fighters deal with those ferocious goblins? He argued. They'll all die. June. Mo persistently followed, refusing to let Hyun-Yuke go alone. You can't do anything. Hyun-Yuke retorted. I'm not alone. I have you, Junimo. Junimo was speechless. Are you kidding me? Meanwhile, at Outpost 6, the situation was in complete chaos. Many had fallen. The commander continued to order Outpost 6 to hold their position at all costs. The monsters had breached deep into the base. They slashed and slaughtered with frenzy. Many soldiers, covered in blood, were severely wounded, huddled in crates, awaiting their impending doom. Suddenly, a light hail started outside, pattering against the windows. The 2 soldiers hiding inside were scared out of their wits. The leader of these monsters is too cunning. If this container is destroyed, they'll be dead and gone, meeting their maker. A panicked sergeant pointed his gun to his head, contemplating suicide. Better to die quickly than endure this torment. The other soldier could only sit on the ground, weeping pathetically. Suddenly, a voice crackled from the radio. The voice on the radio ordered the archer private, facing north. After you draw your crossbow, aim for the light and shoot. Then hold your position. The private, clueless as to what was going on, obeyed. He had no other choice now. Following the instructions from the radio, he shakily raised his crossbow and aimed it directly at the light. The person on the other end of the radio was none other than Hyen UK. He was wearing a flashlight on his shoulder as a signal. He instructed the archer, hold steady, focus on your aim. I'll be the one to pull the trigger. Hyen UK decisively squeezed the trigger. A rocket tore through the air, hurtling towards the monster. Hyen UK, who was restraining the beast, watched it incinerate in a sea of flames. The system immediately notified him. You have consumed 1% of your magical energy. Hyen UK had found the optimal method to conserve precious mana. Combined with the marksman's devastating firepower, this game was becoming incredibly easy. The raging inferno had attracted the attention of the Demon King and his ferocious horde. The Demon King immediately ordered an attack. Massive boulders flew towards Hyen UK. He quickly dove into dense undergrowth, successfully evading the onslaught. Hyen UK signaled to the marksman, repeat the previous tactic. The marksman obeyed, hastily preparing his magical crossbow. Once again, he aimed the crossbow towards the blinding light. Hyen UK was the one to pull the trigger, launching the attack. One by one, the monsters fell, scorched to ashes. The Demon King gritted his teeth in frustration at the cunning of Hyen UK and his companion. Meanwhile, Jun Mo remained hidden in the bushes. His sole mission was to send out the signal. Hyen UK had insisted they would only distract the enemy, but the current situation suggested they were about to wipe out the entire force. Suddenly, a goblin spotted Yunmo. It brandished its blade, preparing to attack, but Hyen UK appeared just in time. A gunshot rings out and the monster collapses. Junemo's jaw drops in astonishment. Hyen UK, could this be the same person he knew before? All of Hyen UK's actions were a trap to lure out the demon sorcerer. He was quietly observing, assessing the cunning boss's situation. His mana was plummeting down to a mere 12%. The boss still hadn't shown himself. Could he really be so heartless as to watch his minions fall one by one, each and every one of them? Suddenly, Junemo's panic cry for help crackled through the communicator. Hyen UK rushed towards him immediately. The demon sorcerer had captured Junemo, using him as a hostage to threaten Hyen UK. Hyen UK pretended to surrender, dropping his weapon. A smirk played on his lips as his finger squeezed the trigger. The bullet struck the demon sorcerer, making him cough up blood. Seizing the opportunity, Hyen UK lunged forward, throwing a dagger at the fleeing sorcerer. The dagger flew straight towards the escaping demon sorcerer, but shockingly, the dagger ricocheted upon impact. It turned out he was wearing a special type of armor, so solid it seemed impenetrable. The system issued another warning signal. Hyen UK's mana had plummeted to a mere 9%. Panicked, the Demon Lord King scrambled towards the dimensional gate. Just as the Demon Lord King was about to step through the portal, Hyen UK suddenly noticed a crucial detail, a metallic glint on the Demon Lord King's necklace. Without hesitation, he used his metal manipulation ability to yank the monster back. The action drained his mana, leaving him with a critical 2%. Hyen UK mustered all his remaining strength and hurled a dagger straight at the Demon Lord King's face. His mana completely depleted the very moment the monster collapsed. It was over. It was finally dead. A brilliant golden light erupted, illuminating the vast expanse of the sky. Damn it, Hyen UK cursed under his breath. Lieutenant CO Unha is here already. Hyen UK quickly searched the Demon Lord King's remains for the stone. The moment he found it, he swallowed whole. The army arrived and surrounded him immediately after. Dark muzzles pointed at him. They demanded his identity. Hyen UK raised his hands in surrender and truthfully revealed his name. As soon as Unha stepped through the gate, she was stunned to see the boss already defeated. Could 4 ordinary soldiers really take down such a powerful boss? It was unbelievable. Moreover, all the monsters had identical wounds, clearly inflicted by a single person. Hyen UK was being carried back on a stretcher. System, Notification: you have successfully absorbed the legendary item. Adamantium: the time required for complete metal absorption is 9 hours. Hien UK covered his face, unable to hide his delighted grin. The system continued to provide information. The metal you have absorbed is of the enhancement type. After absorption, you will possess magic skills corresponding to this enhancement type. After the absorption process, the metal's mass will increase, but the specific amount is undetermined. Manhwa was completely bewildered, unable to understand Hien UK's joy. Hien UK was practically ecstatic, celebrating internally. His system displayed a new notification. After absorbing the energy from the legendary artifact, a rare and special skill awakened within him. Now, he possesses the ability to locate any metal within a certain range. The metal manipulation skill. Finally, this moment has arrived. At last, the youngest has recovered his power. He can sense the magnetic fields emanating from the surrounding metal. A powerful resonance is taking place. Today marks the glorious return of the Steel Emperor. A few days after the incident at the barracks gate, rumors spread like wildfire. The story of a lowly corporal, a rank F soldier wielding a greatsword, single-handedly defeating a horde of ferocious goblins. However, many doubted the truth of the tale. Like this Sergeant Oseng UK, for example, a mage from the Special Magic Intelligence Division, commander of the 2nd Platoon. After being informed by his subordinate and thoroughly scolded, Oseng UK turned to the fat man beside him and inquired, "Can someone who can tear apart goblins with their bare hands really be strong enough to lead 3 others in breaching a gate?" The fat man shook his head vehemently, asserting, "Absolutely not." This hefty fellow was Oseng UK's right-hand man, Sergeant Lee Won-suk, a battle-crazed warrior, a leading expert in close-quarters combat raids, a D-rank squad, yet considered on par with a C-rank. They had never witnessed firsthand the honorary soldier taking down that monster. Therefore, they assumed those were just stray goblins left behind. But if an honorary soldier truly went berserk and unleashed terrifying power, the consequences would be incredibly dangerous, disrupting military order. Hearing this, the fat man understood his superior's intentions. At the battalion commander's office, the youngest brother was summoned. He was so worried he was sweating bullets. If everything went smoothly, they could easily turn a blind eye. So why did they call him here? Present in the battalion commander's office at this moment, besides CO Unha, were Lieutenant Lee Min, a C-rank hunter, along with Lieutenant and Deputy Battalion Commander. Major Kim Gang CO, a B-rank hunter. Lieutenant Jean Woo-hyuk spoke sternly. "May I ask if you truly disobeyed orders, delayed action, and intentionally postponed the first attack on the gate?" This lieutenant was known by the alias Southern Mountain King, ranked 166th in all of South Korea. "If you speak out of turn right now, you will certainly be suspended from duty." Brotherhood took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. He told himself to stay sharp. At least he had to preserve his position. He firmly asserted that he witnessed the explosion at the gate from his position and reacted immediately. The battalion commander countered. He had reviewed the report, but was still unclear on the matter. Under normal circumstances, a low-ranking soldier like Hien UK would have been torn to shreds by now. Hien UK gulped, feeling the immense pressure weighing down on it. If he backed down now, his military career would be completely over. He smirked, showing his discontent. This isn't fair. He felt like he had been deceived. Lieutenant Lee Min-hee was about to reprimand Hien UK, but the battalion commander signaled her to stay silent. He wanted to hear everything Hien UK had to say. Hien UK, emboldened, pressed on. He questioned the battalion commander. "Every training session, everyone always emphasizes that no matter how low the rank, if we utilize our Legion's monster strategy, then even a D rank, even an E rank can fight against the monsters." Hien UK continued his outburst, reciting the doctrines, repeating verbatim what the battalion commander had drilled into them. Even an F rank, he might have trouble facing a rat, but taking down a goblin isn't impossible, although he disobeyed a direct order. If he hadn't gone to rescue Outpost 6, every soldier there would be dead. Hyun-woo felt a surge of pride after his logical argument. Now it was time for the emotional appeal. Hyun-woo echoed the words of his old battalion commander, that a soldier is a soldier regardless of rank. Always fight with the spirit of a true soldier. Hyun-woo continued his impassioned speech, completely unashamed. The battalion commander was a man he held in the highest regard. He had used everything he was taught and strived to complete every mission with his comrades. When faced with life-or-death situations, The only reason he could confidently move forward when looked down upon, seen as a weak businessman, was because of the battalion commander's words. Hyun-woo seized the opportunity, bowing his head to explain. So, when he heard the battalion commander deny, he felt like his entire career was a sham. That's why he felt so utterly betrayed. Hyung-Ut knew Battalion Commander Kim was a strict and demanding man. As soon as he was appointed second lieutenant, all doors of opportunity swung wide open for him. He almost died fighting against the ferocious orcs, but undeterred, he returned to the army and became a key member, a corps officer in the early stages of establishing the Special Monster Task Force against monsters. In other words, he was a true soldier, a courageous warrior. Hyung-Ut had immense faith in Battalion Commander Kim. He said he considered the commander's words as his guiding principles, his way of life, and was willing to risk his life for his comrades. So why would he suspend him? Just as he expected, Battalion Commander Kim was beaming with excitement. He patted Hyung-Ut on the shoulder and officially appointed him to the rank of sergeant. A system notification appeared before Hyung-Ut's eyes. Congratulations! You have fulfilled the special requirements and mastered a new skill, a technique called Iron Skin that uses mana to temporarily strengthen a part of the body. Hyung-Ut was speechless, frozen in place. Young-ha and Manhwa, standing in the distance, could only watch helplessly. The lieutenant's sharp gaze made Hyung-Ut break out in a cold sweat. He never thought things would turn out this way. Could he have heard wrong? Impossible. At the training room of the 1st Battalion, 3rd Brigade, BA Station, Hyung-Ut furiously lifted weights, cursing under his breath, then suddenly slammed a weight to the ground. I really dug my own grave. Damn it, he exclaimed. Meanwhile, Lee Min, he had successfully persuaded the lieutenant to change his mind. In the history of the counterterrorism unit, there had never been a case of a sergeant receiving such special treatment. Thanks to Lieutenant Lee Min-hee's timely intervention, Hyung-Ut was given a chance to explain himself. I will reconsider your case, the lieutenant said. However, you should know better and keep quiet for a while to avoid unnecessary attention. Just as his frustration peaked, 2 arrogant guys appeared out of nowhere, looking for trouble. The chubby one, with a fake friendly demeanor, approached and asked if he was done with the weights. He replied that he wasn't finished yet. The fat guy stared at him, his eyes scrutinizing. His attitude immediately did a 180. He lifted a weight with one hand, his face arrogant, his tone mocking. Hi in UK, so famous. Yet you can only lift this much? Such a pathetic display. The chubby guy's boasting words caused others in the gym to turn their attention their way. Everyone leaned in, eager to listen to the drama unfold. Hi in UK glanced around. He spotted that scumbag from Sang UK in the crowd. He knew that guy would try to publicly bully him again, just like in his past life. How annoying. Hi in UK ran a hand through his hair, trying to stay calm. He just set a goal to live a quiet life, avoiding all the attention. But trouble found him anyway. What a nuisance. He actually dared to challenge that tub of lard to a duel, causing rumors to spread through the barracks like wildfire. Lee Won-suk, the dead last rookie, is about to face off against Hyun UK, a seasoned soldier. A curious crowd quickly packed the fighting arena. The 2 main characters of the match were also present. The fat guy appeared extremely confident, as if victory was already in his grasp. He continuously taunted and insulted Hyun UK. The whistle blew, signaling the start of the match. The fat guy aggressively charged forward, unleashing a flurry of punches at Hyun UK. He calmly raised his hands to block the blows. He skillfully dodged each of his opponent's attacks. At one point, the fat guy's punch almost landed squarely on Hyun UK's face. But luckily, he reacted in time to save his handsome face. Hyun UK even daringly beckoned, provoking the fat guy to the point of rage. At that moment, Lieutenant Cheon Myung-ho, the tactical trainer of the Black Tiger unit, entered the arena. He was dragged there by a young soldier, escorting the general inside to enjoy the match between Hyun UK and the hefty fighter. The officer beside him continued to chatter incessantly, babbling on about lightning-fast strikes and masterful techniques. The lieutenant seemed utterly disinterested in the officer's incessant bragging. He stood observing from afar, taking in the entire scene. Below the stands, an impatient man lost his cool. He roared, demanding the fat fighter stop holding back. Finish it already, he bellowed. Others in the crowd joined in the uproar. They urged the fat fighter to get serious. Stop playing around, they jeered. We're losing our bets. The hefty fighter in the arena felt the immense pressure. He wasn't holding back at all. His body felt as heavy as lead. Moving was difficult, let alone landing a blow. Hien Yuke continuously moved his hands up and down, using his metal manipulation ability. He had gained control of Countless. The metal plates on the fat man's boots kept sinking into the ground. He couldn't land a single blow on either of them. His wild, flailing limbs looked ridiculous. The fat man must have felt like he was struggling in quicksand. Little brother didn't even have to break a sweat. He was practically winning just by standing there and laughing. Suddenly, the fat man called for a timeout. Gasping for air, he claimed something was wrong with his legs. Little brother feigned ignorance. What happened? All of a sudden, he added insult to injury with a few taunts. The fat man was furious. He tightened his abs, clenched his glutes, and unleashed all his inner strength. His outer shirt ripped apart. The onlookers gasped in unison. The fat man had activated the Berserker's body frenzy skill, the armor skill. He snorted like a raging bull. Hien Yuke's expression turned serious. The lieutenant standing below was about to intervene and stop the body enhancement. This fight had clearly escalated beyond a simple sparring match. But looking at Hien Yuke's resolute gaze, seeing no hesitation or fear, he decided to remain a spectator and not interfere. The fatty and Hien Yuke now resembled a raging bull, locked in combat with an agile Black Panther. The panther seemed to be deliberately concealing its sharp claws, waiting for the opportune moment to unleash a fatal blow. The lieutenant found the fight truly captivating. The officer beside him exclaimed excitedly, his praise overflowing. He declared that the fatty was clearly no ordinary person. For a D rank to enhance his body to this extent, it was the first time he had ever witnessed such a thing. The fatty seemed eager to end the fight quickly. After enhancing himself, his speed had increased dramatically. He suddenly accelerated, launching a powerful punch that sent Hien Yuke flying back, crashing hard against the arena wall. The crowd below roared their enthusiastic support for the fatty. Unbeknownst to them, after delivering that blow, the fatty felt like he had just punched a solid sheet of steel. Just now, Hien Yuke used a body-strengthening skill, transforming part of his arm into hardened steel to block the attack. And now, it's his turn to counterattack. The fat guy, ferocious like an enraged wild beast, charged at Hien Yuke again. Hien Yuke nimbly dodged. Such a brilliant skill. But to use it against someone like this fatty, what a waste of talent. Hien Yuke used a skill to reinforce part of his leg, unleashing a lightning-fast kick to the fatty's calf. The fat guy crumpled to the ground in pain. Hien Yuke seized the opportunity, launching a flurry of punches at the fatty's face. A guy who only relies on brute strength and arrogance. He's no different from an ant. And yet he dares to act all high and mighty, try to lecture others. Who's teaching who here? The crowd below was stunned, their eyes wide with disbelief at what they were witnessing. Warrant Officer Cheon Mung-ho looked as if he had seen a savior, a beacon of hope. Truth pierced through his heart. The panther finally revealed its sharp claws. It sank its fangs deep into the throat of the raging bull. The lieutenant patiently waited for Hien Yuke to make his move. On the other side, a relentless barrage of punches continued to pummel the fat man's face. The lieutenant anticipated the finishing blow. But unexpectedly, Hien Yuke was lifted into the air by the fat man, his shirt gripped tightly. He intended to slam him into the ground with terrifying force. The fat man was about to grab Hien Yuke and smash him face first into the ground, when suddenly, he found himself trapped in a tight headlock. The fat man was completely immobilized, unable to move. If he recklessly tried to slam his opponent down, he would destroy his own arm in the process. The lieutenant silently observed the fight against a frenzied opponent in a physically enhanced state. A normal headlock wouldn't be enough to subdue him. Across the battlefield, the confrontation between the two raged on fiercely. The fat man struggled violently, trying to break free from Hien Yuke's hold. He raised his free hand, preparing to throw a punch. But Hien Yuke, just managing to pry off the hand that was tightly constricting his throat, breaking free from the fat guy's grip. He nimbly spun and dodged the incoming attack. In a flash, he reversed his position, grabbing the fat guy's hair and locking him in a chokehold from behind. Junio silently praised him. That spin and chokehold were impressive. Indeed, if he applies enough pressure to the arteries in the neck, it could be truly dangerous. because the Berserker solely focuses on enhancing physical strength, especially muscles. The fat guy, caught in Hyunuke's chokehold, can't break free. He struggles desperately, trying to pry Hyunuke's hands off, but to no avail. Hyunuke smirked, confidence radiating from his face. He had activated his body enhancement skill, focusing the power on his arms. The fat guy didn't stand a chance against his enhanced grip. Suddenly, a system warning flashed. Body enhancement skill usage has exceeded the current permitted limit. But Hyunuke ignored the warning, showing no intention of stopping. He tightened his grip on the fat guy's neck even further. The system issued another warning. The crowd below began to murmur, and the atmosphere grew heated. A younger member turned to Sang Yuti nervously and asked, "Boss, aren't you going to intervene? If they keep fighting like this, someone might get killed." Hyunuke, his eyes bloodshot and nose bleeding profusely, showed no signs of letting up. He didn't loosen his grip. Hyunuke's gaze was fixed on Sang Yuti, who was standing behind them. "You bastard, consider this a warning." Under Hyunuke's intense, murderous stare, Sang Yuti broke out in a cold sweat. The fat boy started to sense that something was wrong. Am I about to lose to a nobody? Impossible. He gritted his teeth and struggled to break free. He was the ace of a next generation. He couldn't accept such a humiliating defeat. The fat boy once again used his ability to enhance his body. The lieutenant, watching from the sidelines, gasped in surprise. Unbelievable. A D rank enhancing his body twice. But if he can't escape that chokehold, he'll end up strangling himself. The fight continued with fierce intensity. Hyunuke tightened his grip even more. The fat man screamed in desperation, struggling to break free, but to no avail. He pushed himself too hard, his efforts backfiring as he finally collapsed, utterly exhausted. The fat man gasped for air, falling to the ground unconscious. The warrant officer observed with a look of utter excitement. His judgment had been correct. The youngest brother was truly a beast, a born warrior. The others rushed to check on the fat man's condition. Fortunately, he was still breathing faintly, merely unconscious. Junimo excitedly rushed to hug Hyunuke. "Congratulations on your glorious victory," Junimo exclaimed. Hyunuke indifferently pushed Junimo away, his sharp gaze fixed on the bastard Sangyuke standing behind him. He remained silent, his demeanor radiating a chilling coldness. Warrant Officer Cheon Myong-ho approached him, asking for his name. Hyunuke stood at attention, in the proper posture of a soldier, reporting his identity. He also wondered why this man was here. The warrant officer returned his salute. He introduced himself as belonging to the renowned Tactical Training Center D Black Tiger Unit and stated that he had just watched his entire match. The warrant officer expressed his satisfaction with Hyunuke's performance. He handed him a mysterious black card and extended an invitation for him to join a special operations unit. This offer caused a stir among those present, sparking excited whispers. The Black Tiger Unit, renowned as the most elite force in the fight against ferocious monsters. However, Hyunuke declined without hesitation. He was just a low-level gamer, completely unsuited for such a harsh environment. Lieutenant Kyan argued that rank was merely a formality, a meaningless standard set by ordinary people. What they truly needed was a courageous and talented warrior like Hyunuke. Witnessing this, Hwin-ut wept silently, her heart torn with anguish. Hyunuke stumbled and collapsed repeatedly, held back and urged to stay by the others. Within the strict military environment, the lieutenant persisted, asking Hyunuke once more about his decision. Hwin-ut stared silently at the black card in her hand, her heart filled with sadness. She worried that in the future, when confronting dark forces, Hyunuke would be bound by this special legion. Hyunuke took the card, saying he needed time to think. For now, he needed to find a reason to keep his distance before things went too far. Witnessing this recruitment, Ut stood beside them, trembling with indignation. His veins bulged on his forehead. In the battalion commander's office, the battalion commander and the lieutenant were chatting. Sipping hot tea, the battalion commander carefully asked the lieutenant, "Has the Black Tiger Unit been facing any difficulties lately?" Lieutenant Kyan took a slow sip of tea, then slowly replied, "We're always facing difficulties due to the severe shortage of personnel." Battalion Commander Kim Gang-seo nodded in understanding. These days, as soon as someone reaches rank C, the guilds are all scrambling to recruit them. So we have no choice but to dedicate ourselves to nurturing talent. only to see our efforts go to waste, benefiting others. Both shared the same predicament and the same concerns. They exchanged knowing glances. The battalion commander asked, "Is your visit regarding Sergeant Cho Jangjun?" The lieutenant replied cheerfully, "Indeed. Cho Jangjun is currently on vacation. But luckily, thanks to this incident, he had discovered a potentially interesting soldier." The battalion commander was startled upon hearing this. He stopped drinking his tea and witnessed Hyen Uk being chased around the courtyard by Jun Mo. The little guy, Jun Mo, was clinging persistently to Hyen Uk, insistently demanding that he teach him the secret to becoming stronger. Hyen Uk was so exhausted he was almost out of breath, his mouth dry and bitter. The comical chase between the two caught the eye of the battalion commander standing in the room. He immediately pulled out his phone and contacted someone. The battalion commander asked this person to investigate, to find out what Hyen Uk did before joining the military. Actually, he didn't want to do this. But Warrant Officer Kyan had awakened his greed. The city bustled with people coming and going, as lively as a festival. A little boy, walking with his mother, got distracted and chased after a mischievous monkey. The monkey quickly ran into a small alley. The boy immediately followed the monkey. But the monkey the boy saw was no ordinary monkey. Not ordinary creatures, but ferocious monsters with terrifyingly sharp claws and fangs. Not just one, but thousands upon thousands poured out from the dimensional gate. At the battalion's armory, Hyen Uk was being given a tour by Manhwa. The battalion commander had acknowledged his remarkable achievements and decided to reward him with weapons and special leave. However, the platoon leader seemed skeptical, doubting he could have accomplished such a feat. Hyen Uk cursed inwardly. This platoon leader was already a stubborn and grumpy old man in his past life, and he hadn't changed a bit in this one. Hyen Uk cleared his throat and regained his composure. He asserted firmly, "Believe it or not, I completed the mission." Manhwa suddenly turned serious and said to him, "Don't get cocky." The demons guarding the gate were all killed by a single sword strike, each wound identical. This indicates that a single guard held off the entire first wave of the attack. Hyen Uk didn't seem to pay much attention to Manhwa's words. He pick up the sword. "I told you to choose this sword because it suits you. Consider it carefully. Don't choose as if I'm forcing you. Think it through and then make your decision." The younger brother brandishes the sword in his hand. He seems quite pleased with this treasured sword. This sword is called the Cloud Sword. It possesses the ability to absorb water vapor, creating a thick fog that obscures the opponent's vision. Now, this treasured sword looks ordinary, like a discarded item. But later, thanks to it, Sergeant Choi Rangron was praised as the famous sword saint. The true name of this sword is Cloud Master's Hidden Hand. In the legend of Dangun Bagwa, the weather gods descended to the mortal realm. Among them were the Wind Master and the Cloud Master. And the Cloud Master was the god who ruled the skies. The Cloud Master, along with his treasured sword called Hidden Hand, achieved countless miracles. Cloud Hidden Blade, a name that hints at a blade concealed within the clouds. Or more simply put, the power of the thunder god, the deity of lightning. If one knows how to unlock and control the potential hidden within it, they can wield the earth-shattering power of lightning. Powerful enough to single-handedly breach and infiltrate dark dungeons and annihilate mid-level monsters. Hyen Uk was extremely pleased with this powerful blade. The perfect fusion of hardened steel and raging lightning energy was truly unparalleled. This time, he decided to choose this sword as his companion. Manhwa complained about Hyen Uk's incredible achievement, yet he only chose a sword with such a delicate appearance. "How can that be?" she exclaimed. Hyen Uk remained firm in his decision, unwavering. Suddenly, a piercing siren blared throughout the entire military base. The alarm signal emanating from the Itiwan gate made Manhwa look at Hyen Uk with surprise. "How can you be so calm?" she wondered. "It's as if you knew this was going to happen." Troops quickly assembled in the hall area. The general, clad in gleaming silver armor, was also present. From his armor to his weapons, everything exuded authority and prestige. Just selling one of the general's coats would be enough to buy. In a modern high-rise in the bustling Gangnam district, Hyun Ut was leading a small squad. He sternly reminded his subordinates to be wary of even the smallest monsters, because they could inflict greater casualties than the battle at the oasis. They mainly attack with poison-tipped needles and toxic fumes, he explained. It's strictly forbidden to roll up your combat uniform sleeves while on the battlefield. A soldier at the front of the line hastily pulled down his sleeves with an embarrassed expression. He seemed to not understand why such caution was necessary. Hyun Yuti retorted, "Do you want some tiny insect to gouge your eyes out?" The soldier fell silent, not daring to ask any more questions. Hyun Yuti continued to remind everyone to be prepared for toxic gas. Always double check, so you can put on your gas masks immediately in case of emergency. Suddenly, a group of soldiers from another squad appeared. They started to mock Hyun Yuti's squad. "A bunch of losers. Do you even need a strategy meeting for this? You guys look like a bunch of rookie trainees. This is a reinforcement unit being rushed to the battlefield." The soldiers under Hyunwoo hung their heads, not daring to utter a word. Hyunwoo felt a surge of frustration. He spun around and roared at the two soldiers for not checking their gas masks. "Get your gear ready. What are you dawdling for? Goblins often leave their territory for surprise attacks. They will swarm out from their dens to ambush us." The two soldiers seemed unconcerned by the warning. They acted incredibly arrogant, believing themselves to be seasoned warriors, and dismissed Hyunwoo's words. After mocking Hyunwoo for a bit, the two soldiers walked away. Hyunwoo looked around at his squad. Noticing everyone's discouragement and lethargy, he gritted his teeth and yelled, "Company, attention!" He once again used eloquent words to rouse the soldiers' spirits. But they were tired of his mocking, sarcastic tone. They were facing imminent danger. Death could come at any moment. This was no time for hesitation or fear. The soldiers under Hyunwoo's command stood in formation, awaiting orders. Hyunwoo continued with detailed instructions regarding the small Koban monsters. Because of their diminutive size, motion sensors needed to be installed at all sewer drains and narrow passageways. He demanded the soldiers complete the task within 20 minutes. The squad quickly dispersed to carry out the order. After everyone had left, only Hyunwoo and Junmo remained, moving supply crates. Junmo also noticed that Hyunwoo seemed a bit different today. Hyunwoo stared intently at Junmo, memories of his past life suddenly flooding back. As Hyunwoo was about to ask Junmo to repeat what he just said, suddenly, a sharp arrow pierced Sinuke's neck. He collapsed to the ground, unconscious. Just then, a pack of ferocious Gobans emerged from the shadows, spewing a thick cloud of poisonous gas that filled the air. Many quick-thinking soldiers managed to pull out and put on their gas masks. However, the Gobans were too fast and ferocious. They charged into the thick smoke, savagely attacking countless panicked soldiers. Sinuke lay gasping on the ground, unable to remove the arrow lodged deep in his neck. Suddenly, another Goban appeared behind him, a dagger raised, aimed directly at his face. Fortunately, the blade only grazed him, and someone immediately came to Sinuke's rescue in the nick of time. A long gash appeared on Sinuke's face, stretching to his ear. The person who had come to his aid was Junimo. He quickly offered Sinuke a gas mask, but Sinuke urged Junimo to quickly leave the dangerous area. The two struggled. In a blink of an eye, Junimo's head was blown off by the monster. Hyun-Yuke screamed in despair, remembering his past life where Junimo sacrificed himself to save him from the ferocious Goban monsters. Moments before the Goban horde descended, he had instructed Junimo to lead all battalion members in a retreat from the combat zone. He promised to send Junimo a battle signalator. This was the tactic Hyun-Yuke had devised. From another area, reports continuously poured into the command center. Delta Team reporting, Sectors 1 and 3 have gone completely silent. Epsilon Team reporting, Sectors 4, 5, and 6 show no signs of life. Gamma Team reporting, no survivors. In the early stages of Operation Red Ground, Beta Team reported discovering a cave, believed to be a Goban nest in Sector 2, Subsector B9. An estimated 200 Gobans are hiding inside. Military Command immediately formulated an ambush plan. They advanced in a Sector A, believed to be the heart of the magical energy. Upon receiving the signal, all soldiers simultaneously breached the doors and stormed in. They immediately erected sturdy shields, activated the magic circle within, and patiently awaited orders from command. The horde of monsters, sensing the intrusion, roared and charged into attack. The troops calmly waited for the monsters to approach before signaling the order to fire. A colossal pillar of fire suddenly erupted from the magic circle, incinerating a large number of monsters. Meanwhile, At a different location, Hyun-Yuke's team was urgently installing a sensor system. Lieutenant Lee Min-hee approached to observe the situation, curiously asking him what he was doing. Hyun-Yuke respectfully replied, explaining that he was installing sensor devices according to the instructed procedures and marking their locations with aluminum tape. Min-hee complained about the exorbitant cost. Hyun-Yuke reassured her not to worry, because the guild would cover the expenses. He added that he had to request backup just to deal with the monster's dimensional gate. First squad will deploy in 20 minutes. Therefore, the support squad needs to urgently provide antidote kits or corresponding antidotes. Hyun-Yuke loudly protested the mission that the support squad was entrusted with by the squad leader. Their real mission was to prevent the monsters from advancing towards the residential area. At the rear, Hyun-Yuke intentionally raised his voice, attracting the attention of the curious crowd around them. Manhwa, not wanting to lose face, gritted his teeth and mocked. The new squad leader only treated you kindly once, and you're already acting up? You're so inexperienced. As the two were arguing, a figure appeared. This pink-haired girl was Sergeant Choi Seo-ha. She was a C-rank player, a healer specializing in therapeutic magic. Manhwa, who was being arrogant, suddenly changed his demeanor and put his arm around Hyun-Yuke in a friendly way. Hyun-Yuke burst out laughing. Inwardly, he smirked. This was Second Lieutenant Manhwa's weakness. The appearance of his crush calmed him down considerably. Min-hyun shyly asked Seo-ha if there was anything she could help him with. Seo-ha suddenly remembered the main reason he was there. She requested Captain Cho to call Hyun-yu. Hyun-yu was puzzled, wondering why the captain was looking for him. Meanwhile, at Young-ha's position, she was observing the situation around Hyun-yu with binoculars. Seo-ha urged him to quickly go see Captain Cho. She reassured Hyun-yu that she would take care of everything there. She would continue installing the sensors. Hyun-yu was anxious as time was running out. He wondered what the captain was planning. Young-ha's team was still positioned on the rooftop, ready for a fight. A soldier aiming his weapon muttered, "They're the strike force, taking direct orders from the captain. They act on the captain's command." Perhaps that's why they were summoned for this attack. Amidst the tension, Young-ha lowered her binoculars. They were just ordinary soldiers, always following orders from their superiors. At the battalion commander's field command post, Hyun-Yuke arrived to report and was surprised to see Lieutenant Jian there as well. He saluted the two officers respectfully, wondering what the battalion commander wanted from him. The battalion commander looked at Hyun-Yuke with a knowing glint in his eyes. He wanted to give him a chance to prove himself. Since Choi Rang-jun was on leave, Hyun-Yuke would temporarily take over as commander of 1st Platoon. His mission was to support the attack on the main gate. Hyun-Yuke was stunned. The man who never paid him any attention in his past life. I just said what? He didn't have time for this joke. Had the battalion commander lost his mind? Hyun-Yuke tried to protest, arguing that since being transferred to this platoon, he had only been doing menial tasks within the squad, just backup and support. Hyun-woo couldn't accept it, putting his comrades' lives on the line for such a dangerous mission. This wasn't even a normal training exercise. It was a real battle, a fight to the death. The battalion commander just stared coldly at Hyun-woo, impassively declaring it an order. Hyun-woo gritted his teeth in frustration, but didn't dare disobey. Just then, the radio crackled to life. News from Delta Squad came through. The Kobold Horde has left its den. Hyun-woo heard the urgent message too. The Kobolds would soon attack the support squad. If he didn't act now, the rear defense line would completely collapse. Hyun-woo clenched his jaw, making a decisive decision. He had to leave immediately. Hyun-woo turned back to the battalion commander, saying he had something to report. Outside, Young-ha persistently observed Hyun-Yuke through her binoculars. She witnessed Hyun-Yuke sprinting for his life as if chased by demons. The moment Hyun-Yuke left the room, Commander Hyun-Yuke immediately roared orders to the support squad, raising their alert level. Simultaneously, piercing toxic gas alarms blared, signaling a code red danger level. A thick cloud of poisonous smoke rapidly spread throughout the area. This situation was completely unexpected for Hyun-Yuke. The infected appeared much faster than he remembered. Moments before, while still in the room, Hyun-Yuke had a heartfelt conversation with the battalion commander. He learned that the respected battalion commander had lost his entire unit on their very first mission. It was hard to believe that someone from the support troops, trained and treated as an elite soldier, Yet now, the battalion commander was ordering him into a life-or-death battle. It was all just a test for him. Wyatt countered the battalion commander. Does our esteemed battalion commander consider the lives of ordinary soldiers as mere grass? Wyatt's sharp words startled the battalion commander. He quickly denied it, then immediately changed his tone and ordered, "You will follow the assault platoon under my direct command." Wyatt interrupted the battalion commander and boldly declared, "If that is the battalion commander's order, I will obey." But inside, a storm was brewing. He couldn't say he knew the future. It was too absurd. Wyatt continued, "I lack real combat experience, especially in leading a platoon. I've never held such responsibility. The potential for casualties is very high." He expressed his gratitude. "I'm grateful for the battalion commander's trust in entrusting me with this task. But if the price of this victory is the lives of my comrades, my brothers in arms, then I must disobey the order." The battalion commander remained silent, his head bowed, without saying a word. Lieutenant Kyan, standing beside him, immediately issued a warning to Hein Uk. Disobeying a direct order in wartime is punishable by death. Hein Uk, of course, understood this, but if he didn't act now, the entire rear line would be wiped out. The battalion commander, after a moment of silence, finally spoke. He decided to rescind the order. Today, Hein Uk will continue his original assignment with the squad, providing support as planned. However, as a soldier, punishment for his insubordination will be carried out later, and each man will be held accountable for his actions. Hein Uk ran, ranting furiously. "Put on your gas masks! Damn it!" he roared furiously. Winut quickly drew his sword from his bag. He carefully poured some water onto the blade. The thick poison gas completely obscured their vision, plunging everything into a white haze. Winut silently prayed for everyone's safety. "Jun Mo, lead everyone and run." Winut ordered. Contrary to Winut's order, Jun Mo didn't retreat. He decided to lead reinforcements to another squad in danger. "Hurry," he urged. "Get the wounded into the armored carriers and retreat." Jun Mo yelled. Seo Ha, the girl with the striking pink hair, was also present on the fierce battlefield. She trembled violently, her entire body frozen in fear. "Go, get the medic!" But the overwhelming fear paralyzed her. Jun Mo himself was trembling with fear, his hand clenched tightly around his gun, shaking uncontrollably. Seo Ha, the girl, was only 20 years old, facing her first battle. After being assigned to this squad, he was just an ordinary soldier in this support platoon. What else could he do? To stand by and watch as his comrades run out of ammunition and have no strength left to fight. Junmo had a splitting headache. Were they all going to die here? Suddenly, he remembered Hynuk. "Junmo." The main character's calm voice rang out, issuing orders to the support platoon. "Kobans are attracted to bright objects. You will use a lightning-fast attack to draw the attention of those monsters. Then the entire platoon will follow the sergeant and help evacuate the wounded. Retreat from here immediately." The others were stunned when they heard Junmo's order. Junmo firmly urged everyone to act. They had to reach the evacuation zone. There they would meet the Moon Guild. Yunmo understood clearly. His electrical abilities were no match for even the weakest of the monsters. But finally, he found a way. He discovered how to use his power to save everyone. Jun Mo gripped his glowing hammer and sprinted in the opposite direction. The monsters, drawn to the brilliant light emanating from his hand, turned and gave chase. Jun Mo yelled, urging the others to escape quickly. A powerful conviction surged within him. He knew he was doing the right thing. He knew that if Hyunwook were here, he would do the same. The boy was determined to sacrifice himself as bait, to force the relentlessly pursuing monsters to stop before him. Suddenly, Jun Mo was struck by a fatal blow. His small body vanished in an instant. But Hyunwook arrived just in time. He used his cloud sword to absorb the surrounding water, creating a barrier of water bone. He purified the air within the protective shield. Hyunwook called Junemo's name, his voice filled with relief that the boy was still alive. Tears streamed down Junemo's face. Thanks to Junemo's sacrifice. So, Hyunwook can now enjoy this feast all by himself. He's going to devour it all. Hyunwook's sword dances like lightning, striking down a horde of monsters. Countless red gems spill from the slain monsters. He eyes them greedily, drool dripping from his mouth. But with Junimo present, he dares not make a move. He's been fighting endlessly, but only encountering small fry. The leader still hasn't shown themselves. Suddenly, an earth-shattering roar echoes through the air. The monsters panic and flee in the opposite direction. Hyunwoo yells for Junimo to retreat immediately. His squad is in danger. On the other side, the toxic gas hasn't dissipated, severely limiting visibility. Providing support in this situation is incredibly difficult. Up puts on her gas mask. She gives a firm order to her subordinates. Hold your current positions. Coordinate closely with Chong's team. Snipe the Kobans. Hold them back, leaving the toxic air behind. The rescue team quickly approached the endangered civilians. After putting on a gas mask, Eunha bravely jumped into the thick smoke. She needed to verify a few crucial things. Han Yukei's actions were as if he already knew everything that was going on. Seolha was crying out in despair. Around her, too many people had fallen, casualties were piling up. The container protecting them began to show terrifying cracks. The insect's magic was too powerful. Some soldiers were risking their lives, trying to keep the container from shattering. But their efforts were becoming futile as the cracks on the container spread wider. Terrifying monsters were pouring in. Han Yukei appeared behind a swarm of monsters. He swung his sword, launching the sharp blade straight towards the boss monster. The lead monster nimbly dodged the deadly sword strike. The sword changed direction, flying off in another direction. Han Yukei relentlessly pursued the boss. Han Yukei's sword grazed the canister on the monster's back. A small amount of toxic gas leaked out. The enraged monster ordered its minions to retreat. The ferocious monsters lined up and unleashed a volley of arrows towards Han Yukei. He moved with lightning speed, his sword deflecting every incoming projectile. Han Yukei fought valiantly, defending himself and protecting Junimo by his side. Han Yukei unleashed his metal manipulation ability, causing the arrows mid-flight to make a 180-degree turn, flying back towards the monsters. Suddenly, the system issued a warning. M7 sword. The weapon launched at the boss earlier has lost its control signal. But Han Yukei had no time to worry about that now. He was focused on dealing with the remaining monsters surrounding them. These ferocious creatures were following the boss's commands, fiercely attacking everyone. Han Yukei knew that by continuing his relentless assault, he could make the boss hesitate, buying time for the others. Having Junimo join the attack on a boss now would be far too risky. Han Yukei signaled for Junimo to retreat towards the container. They quickly turned and ran. The monsters pursued them relentlessly, firing arrows. Once again, Han Yukei used his metal manipulation to neutralize all the projectiles. Finally, they made it. Back inside the container, rejoining the other soldiers. Inside, it was pure chaos, a battlefield of wounded and the dying. Injured soldiers lay everywhere, with no one to help them. The healing mages were in a state of panic, completely overwhelmed and traumatized. If this continued, the entire army would be annihilated. Hyunwoo rushed to Seolha's side, trying to shake her awake and calm her down. The situation was critical. Any further hesitation would cost them their lives. After a while, Seolha finally regained her composure. She began to focus on healing the wounded. Although the lieutenant's condition was extremely critical, with blood flowing uncontrollably, Seolha poured all her energy into saving him. Hyun Yukei used his metal manipulation ability, gathering everyone's knives. He swore he would make those monsters pay. At a secret location, a woman with a venomous spider tattoo on her shoulder sat comfortably in a luxurious car. She received a call and immediately ordered her driver to head straight to Itaewon. Hui Chut, alone and armed with his long saber, charged into the heart of the Yaonig horde. He meticulously positioned the sensor, carefully observing his surroundings. Letting the prey wander into the hunting grounds was the optimal tactic. He finished marking and installing the sensor at the designated location, right in the center of the area. The device's margin of error was within a section of Zone A, the zone commanded by the assistant squad leader. The leader would control the entire squad from behind, concealed in the shadows. Finding the final boss would immediately end this game. Hui Chut used his metal detection skills to search for traces. If any foreign metal was detected outside Zone A, it would certainly be a sign of the boss. Hui Chut launched sharp blades at the Yaonu hiding in the bushes, hidden within the thick undergrowth. One of the blades aimed directly for the boss standing at the very back. The boss used magic to deflect the critical attack. After pinpointing the boss's exact location, Hui Chut immediately directed all remaining blades towards him. The boss roared in fury. He unleashed dark magic. High-end UK simultaneously neutralized the opponent's knife attack. He struggled to recall the thrown blades, but failed. They were stuck fast. The system immediately issued a warning. Blade M7's weight exceeds the control limit. Seizing the opportunity, the small monsters launched a volley of darts at Hein UK. He quickly raised his hands to block the attack. The boss ordered his minions to launch a full-scale assault. Hein UK thought he would be crushed, just like in his past life. But fortunately, this time he possessed the body-strengthening skill. The rain of darts seemed to have no effect on him. Hein UK recalled his knives. He expertly spun them around him. A whirlwind of sharp blades formed, wiping out the small fry monsters. The last one remaining was the boss, the black magic sorcerer. It was time for Hein UK to settle the score with him. The boss gritted his teeth and spewed out a deadly poisonous gas. Hein UK used his cloud sword to create a protective barrier, blocking the toxic fumes. He used his metal sense skill to sense your surroundings. If you recklessly swing your sword around like last time, it'll anticipate your every move. You must attack with more caution and precision. You feel strange. Why isn't the insect making any movements? But the moment you stand up, you realize the dark sorcerer has silently cast a spell, binding your feet. You stumble and fall face first onto the ground. The boss controls the magic, tightly wrapping it around one of your legs, dragging you towards it. You cry out in agony. The boss throws you straight into the thick, poisonous smoke. Just as it gloats in triumph, you return. Thanks to your body-strengthening skill, your leg is unharmed. You start to feel irritated. How many times has this happened today? That despicable demon ape had dealt him a severe psychological blow. The monstrous insect continued to spew its deadly toxic gas. It suddenly used a blink skill, flashing like lightning in another direction. In the blink of an eye, it appeared right behind Hein UK. The insect thrust its sharp sword towards him with terrifying speed. But with incredible agility, he dodged the fatal attack. Hein UK was filled with rage. That vile demoness dared to use such a cowardly sneak attack, as if touching upon his deepest pain. Hein UK, in a fit of fury, swung his sword down at the monster's head. At the same time, Hein UK activated his enhancement skill, channeling all his energy into his legs. He unleashed a devastating kick, crushing the hideous monster's face. The insect was sent flying, rolling on the ground like a ball. Hein UK had been waiting for this moment for a long time, ever since that fateful night after being reborn into the past. He had been obsessed with finding a way to take revenge on those who had backstabbed him so cruelly, like those damned demon apes. Now, the despicable insect had received a face-shattering kick. It was no longer capable of using magic. It was time for the real fight to begin. Hyun UK, his eyes cold and sharp, launched a volley of razor-sharp blades into the monstrous insect's body. The tank full of poisonous gas on the creature's back exploded, causing it to roar in agony from the grievous wounds. Hyun UK approached, his hand tightening around the insect's grotesque face, lifting it high. "I've hated you for so long," he gritted his teeth. "Because of you in my past life, I lived years of torment as a cripple." The swords he had used to impale the insect moments before were the weapons of his comrades, brutally slaughtered by it. In his previous life, Hyun UK drew his Yun sword, its gleaming blade piercing through the monstrous insect's body. The system immediately appeared, announcing that the Yun sword was absorbing the monster's life force. But Hyun UK's rage was not yet quenched. He directed another blade straight into the head of the dying monster. "This is the price you pay for the scar on my face in my past life." The monster, tortured to death, disintegrated into ashes. Finally, the first knot of his haunting past, which had caused Hyun UK so much pain for so long, was untied. A shower of precious items dropped from the monster's remains. A system notification suddenly popped up. Demon Medallion acquired. Inferno. The Medallion of Hellfire, containing the terrifying power of the demon race, is one of the highest-ranking treasures in the Divine Medallion series. The youngest brother, his face stunned, slowly lifted the medallion. "Why is this here? Isn't this his token?" His undead army was like a living hellish nightmare for all living beings. One of the most notorious villains in human history, Neuromancer. Although there isn't any confirmed information about him, I know for sure He possesses the same non-growth characteristic as me. Because of his existence, ever since returning from the past, I've had to hide the fact that despite my capped level, I still possess the potential for a power breakthrough. The non-growth characteristic is a special attribute, allowing its owner to develop along a unique path without enduring the arduous process of training and relentless battles. In his past life, after a fierce confrontation with the necromancer, Hyunwoo achieved a miraculous victory at the Golden Workshop. But all he received then was an inferno replica, a mere imitation. Yet now, in his hands, he held the genuine Inferno treasure. There were still so many mysteries he had yet to uncover. The poisonous gas gradually dissipated. Hyunwoo opened his mouth, about to consume the Inferno, when suddenly, Junga appeared behind him. She pointed her sword at Hyunwoo, coldly questioning his identity. Hyunwoo flinched, a sense of unease rising within him. How much had she witnessed of the recent battle? Just then, another person approached. It was the woman who had been in the vehicle with the giant spider earlier. She was Hien Azu, the head of the Seoul Strategy Department of the renowned Hakakwa Guild. Caught red-handed, Hyunwoo hastily concealed the treasure. Junga immediately demanded to know what he was hiding. He quickly denied it, shaking his head vehemently. Panicked, Adu had been silently watching Hyunkei's terrifying battle. She also immediately recognized Eungha, her eyes flashing with surprise. She's the third daughter of the renowned knight captain. Hyen Aiju seemed to pay no attention to Eungha's warning. She approached Hyunkei and offered him a prestigious business card. Hyen Aiju, daughter of the famous chairman Youngha, a top-tier, A-rank gamer. Hyunkei stood speechless. Hyen Aiju raised an eyebrow and asked with a suggestive tone, "Don't you know who I am?" Hyunkei gritted his teeth, screaming internally, "How could I not know you?" Among those who cruelly destroyed humanity. He could never forget Hyen Aiju's wicked face. In his past life, Eungha had sacrificed herself, using her own body as a shield to protect him. But then, this very Hyen Aiju had killed Eungha without hesitation. Back in the present, Hyen Aiju was still trying to lure Hyunkei with sweet words. Eungha couldn't take it anymore and shouted, "This is a military combat zone. You're not allowed to be here." Once you get rid of her, Hyen Azu let out an exasperated sigh, turning to Eungha and telling him to call her back. "I am the head of strategy for the China Guild." The two women stared at each other, sparks flying between their eyes. Hyen Ut could feel the tension radiating between the two women. It was truly terrifying. Just then, a car pulled up and Lieutenant Commander stepped out. He got out of the car, looked around, and saw that the monsters and their boss had been completely eliminated. Hyunu gasped, her heart pounding. How did the Lieutenant Commander get here so fast? "Someone help me." Battalion Commander Kim, Kang Seo bowed politely to Hyen Azu. "We are grateful for the assistance of the China Guild. However, this is a military operation zone. Even though you are from the China Guild, unauthorized entry into a military operation zone without permission is a very rare." The lieutenant politely asked Hyen Aiju to leave quickly. Hyen Aiju arrogantly flaunted his business card, acting important, as if no one knew he was a soldier. How stiff. Hyen Aiju placed a kiss on the business card he was holding. Then he personally tucked it into Hyen Yukei's hand. He even told him to contact her. After Hyen Aiju left, platoon leader Kim Kang Seo immediately appointed him as squad leader. Field training mission at the Koban Gate. Koban, top priority, is to ensure the safety of all members and recruit new members for the squad. Hyen Yukei couldn't understand what the lieutenant was thinking. The lieutenant gave a stern order. After a full report of the situation here is completed, all operations here will be under Hyen Yukei's full authority. Hyen Yukei obeyed the order but kept his eyes on him. 1 week later, at the 1st Company of the 3rd Demon Slayer Brigade, Metal. Korea's Inferno Devil has completed the metal absorption process. Metal weight. You can control and increase it by another 499 grams. A special space is forming in your stomach. Hyen Yukei, the youngest, has been holed up in the bathroom since early morning and hasn't come out yet. The system has also issued a warning due to the sudden appearance of this new space. Therefore, Hyen Yukei will have to endure intense pain. A week has passed since that incident, but his physique is still too weak, making the pain even more agonizing and persistent. Jun Imo entered the bathroom to look for him. He saw that Hyen Yukei wasn't coming out and thought he was doing something secretive. But little did he know, Hyun UK was struggling with excruciating pain, barely clinging to life. He didn't even have the strength to speak. The gate of space, a phenomenon that everyone underestimated and misjudged its true danger. The battle resulted in countless casualties. Fortunately, due to the bravery and relentless efforts of Sergeant Choi Seo-ha, Private In Min-tae, who was in critical condition, was safely transported to the military hospital. Thanks to this heroic act, Hyung Ut abandoned his naive belief that he could single-handedly shoulder the responsibility of protecting everyone. The support squad members began a rigorous training regimen aimed at enhancing their combat abilities to at least be able to protect themselves. However, two significant problems arose after that day. Sergeant Choi Seo-ha continued to bother Hyung Ut. This is a place rife with unexpected variables, making it extremely difficult to stick to the plan. The second problem, Major Kim Kong-seo requested that he take on the role of a commissioned officer instead of just a non-commissioned officer. Hyung Ut also harbored pain within his heart. He wept silently, longing to be discharged. Waking up at 5 a.m. was nothing new for him. Captain Kim Gang-seo, leading the squad in the Itaewon operation, had taken a special interest in Hyun-woo. The captain's ambition to create a new military culture, an egalitarian ideal that eliminated the gap between ranks, burned brighter than ever. Why did everyone want to force him to do things he didn't want to? Hyun-woo felt frustrated and helpless. He told himself he would seriously rethink everything during his upcoming leave. 3 weeks later, on the first day of his leave, the weather was perfect. A surprising notification popped up on Hyun-woo's system. Congratulations! You have met the special conditions and received 10 new skills. One of them was the flame absorption skill, allowing him to absorb metal at a faster rate and store a massive amount of metal in a personal space. Hyun-woo recalled the days he struggled in the bathroom. Now, he could digest everything much faster and no longer had to suffer in the bathroom. Hyun-woo washed his hands and stepped outside. His next encounter with the horde of demons would be far more dangerous and difficult. He needed to be extremely cautious. His life could be forfeit at any moment. He had to meticulously prepare everything during this break. This was the moment that would decide his fate. Just as Hyun-woo stepped out of the restroom, he bumped into an acquaintance. It was Xiao-ha, the glamorous, lucky girl, was standing by the vending machine, struggling to light a cigarette. Xiao-ha saw him and asked for a lighter. Hyun-woo suddenly realized that Seo-ha had revealed her true self without him knowing. They boarded the train together. Seo-ha tried to find an excuse to talk to Hyun-woo. She asked about his parents, but Hyun-woo replied that they were both deceased. They had passed away when he was a child. Seo-ha remained silent, unsure of what else to ask. Hyun-wook felt he had been a bit too blunt. He eagerly shared his story, recounting his difficult and lonely childhood. But since becoming an adult, he had found people as close as family. Seo-ha curiously asked about these people. Hyun-wook recalled his past life, remembering his comrades, his brothers, who fought alongside him, as close as blood. Hyun-wook boarded the train to Jongdeok. He planned to spend 3 days and 4 nights there. During this short break, he needed to prepare thoroughly for the future, and the first thing he needed to take care of was money. Hyun-wook saw a job posting for a gamer support position at Blue Chip, the owner of Blue Chip, a person who possessed a massive fortune of trillions of won. At the Gordon Priss Corporation, Gordon's illicit funds flowed silently and swiftly, weaving through the shadows to bribe high-ranking officials and notorious power players, manipulating the market for goods and commodities. Step by step, he seized control, holding the entire system in his grasp. There are countless reasons why people sell their souls to the devil, but above all else, it's the allure of money. Currently, Hyun UK couldn't possibly out-earn Gordon, but he had to ensure he wouldn't get caught in his gambling vortex. He possessed knowledge of significant future events, knowing the precise times and places to make a profit. This meant that by investing early, he could still reap substantial returns. Despite his limited capital for investment, he needed someone absolutely loyal, someone who would never betray him. He had to place his trust in someone who always kept their word, even the smallest promise. Hyun UK entered a dilapidated, old apartment building. He slowly walked up the stairs, step by step. Above, 2 men were arguing fiercely. The heated exchange only stopped when Hyun UK entered. The white-haired young man who had been arguing just moments before, upon seeing Hyun UK, broke into a wide, joyful smile and rushed forward to greet him. This person was Lee Won-jun. The two had known each other for a long time. Conversely, Hyun UK showed no sign of happiness at seeing these two. Lee Won-jun's face was also clearly displeased. He had long harbored resentment toward Hyun UK. Before, Hyun UK could only control a few pieces of metal, making them float in the air, yet he dared to call himself an awakened. While Won-jun couldn't accomplish anything, making him insanely jealous. He had once slapped Hyun UK so hard it made him bleed from the mouth. Lee Won-jun looked at Hyun UK with contempt. With such meager abilities, like a lunatic, you dare to boastfully call yourself an awakened? He threatened Hyun UK, stop bragging everywhere, claiming to be an awakened. If I hear it again, I'll beat you to a pulp. Lee Won-jun continued his thuggish display of power. He aggressively lunged forward, clearly intending to teach Hyun UK a lesson, just like back in school. Another person rushed in to intervene, trying to stop Lee Won-jun, pleading with him to back down. Not only did Lee Won-jun ignore the pleas, but he also tried to attack the person trying to stop him. In contrast, Hyun UK remained unfazed. He challenged Lee Won-jun. If you're brave enough, then kill me. Lee Won-jun was enraged. He lunged, aiming a punch straight at Hyun UK's face, but suddenly froze, because a fountain pen was hovering in midair, pointed directly at Lee Won-jun's eye, ready to strike. Not only that, a knife was also poised to sever his leg. In addition, countless other sharp weapons were simultaneously aimed at Lee Won-jun. Hyun UK smirked. I can't send you to hell today, but at least I can give you a fatal wound. Consider it a welcome gift from a close combat fight. Eliminating a player was child's play for him. Just then, a figure suddenly appeared from the doorway. He urged Lee Won-jun to leave quickly to make it to the event. Hyun UK's attitude suddenly did a 180, as quickly as an X changes their mind. He hastily dropped his weapon, a pathetic look on his face, pleading with Lee Won-jun to spare his life. He promised to be more careful next time. Suddenly, Hyun UK rushed forward, embracing Lee Won-jun as if they were close friends. He leaned close to Lee Won-jun's ear and whispered a warning about Lee Won-jun's expulsion from the White Tiger Guild. Rumor had it that he was expelled because he was so scared that he wet his pants and ran for his life in his first battle. Even his own brother knew about it. His brother issued a threat. If Lee Won-jun didn't want his underlings to witness his humiliated and pathetic defeat, after being beaten by a nobody, he'd better keep quiet. He could boast and brag at any moment. The fourth brother finished speaking. A voice called out Lee Won-jun's name. Lee Won-jun, you heard everything. Now get the hell out of here. After the group left, only the fourth brother and the person who had just been bullied by Lee Won-jun remained. The two sat down to discuss things. This person was the one the fourth brother had mentioned, someone he completely trusted. So he told him everything about the stocks and the black card. The fourth brother told this person everything. Lee Won-jun, after leaving with his goons, was still incredibly furious. Even the security guards on duty were useless. A tall man, presumably a customer, stepped out to complain. He lamented the poor security service, saying that a prestigious place like this should not have brawls. The man walked up to Lee Won-jun, pointing directly at him and scolding him vehemently. Don't give me that boss attitude. This is Section C. Sections A, B, C, and D are all exclusively for VIP guests. Do you even understand what VIP means? How many times do I have to tell you? If you're stupid, you should at least listen carefully. Lee Won-jun couldn't contain his anger any longer. Already furious from the earlier incident, now further provoked, he unleashed a devastating punch without hesitation, sending the other man flying. He went berserk, raining down blows on the man's face, blood splattering everywhere. Blood sprayed like rain. None of his underlings dared to intervene. Only after satisfying his rage did Lee Won-jun finally stop. He ordered his men to dig up information on Hyun. He wouldn't let Hyun get away with this. He couldn't swallow this insult. He swore he would kill him. Back to Mr. Cho-soo. He was still in shock. Why would Hyun willingly reveal all this crucial information to him? Hyun didn't seem surprised by Mr. Cho-soo's reaction. He seemed to have anticipated this. Suddenly, someone offered to help him, promising a sum of money that could change his entire life. It sounded like a fairy tale. How could he believe it? Money doesn't just fall from the sky, does it? Hyun-woo placed his hand over his heart, showing his sincerity, and asked him, "Are you worth my trust right now?" Cho-soo quickly affirmed with certainty, "He's always been in my top 5 most trustworthy people, someone I've always placed my complete faith in. Every piece of information he's given me has been truthful, except for the time he revealed some secrets about his past life." After reading the messages in the conversation between Hyun-woo and the captain, Park Cho-soo finally believed those words completely. Hyun-woo handed him a bank book with a staggering 20 million won. He said excitedly, "I'm entrusting all my assets to you. Please help me invest this money." 20 million won might not seem like a huge amount, but it was all that his parents had left him. Cho-soo took the bank book, still reeling in shock, unable to believe that this young man had placed so much trust in him. In his past life, when Hyun-woo left was consumed by despair, drowning in a dark pit of depression, it was Park Cho-soo who had offered him comfort and encouragement. Hyun-woo, no one is useless. The potential within each person, when utilized at the right time and place, becomes true talent. Don't torment yourself anymore. One day, our worth will be recognized. Always stay confident and give it your all. Those sincere words of encouragement had helped him regain his spirit, pulling him out of the mire of self-doubt and despair. This was a worthy investment, a sure bet, and a way for Cho-soo to repay his benefactor, the only person who had ever shown Hyun-woo genuine care and warmth. When he was lost in feelings of worthlessness and adrift in the currents of life, he had helped him immensely during the darkest years of his life. In a not-so-distant future, humanity will discover the existence of an alien world and will establish communication with its inhabitants. Thanks to advanced technologies gained from the interaction between the two worlds, the war against the Hell Gates will enter a new era. Their advanced techniques will play a crucial role in preventing the eruption of the Hell Gates and dealing with the wave of ferocious monsters that will come in the future. To achieve this goal, humanity must actively communicate with these otherworldly beings and acquire their cutting-edge technical knowledge. To accomplish this, our protagonist needs the support of leading experts. In the renowned blacksmith district of Dongdaemun, Hyun-woo is strolling down the street, checking the prices of magic stones. At a roadside stall, the vendor curiously asks how much he can afford. Hyun-woo is preparing for a new future, a second chance. With the collaboration of 7 talented dwarf specialists, his mission is to forge the most powerful ultimate equipment, because master blacksmiths are always prime targets. Before the enemies detected their presence, Hyun-woo entered a small forge. He greeted the blacksmith, but the old man only glanced at him indifferently and returned to his work. The blacksmith gruffly stated he only sold what he had on hand, and if Hyun-woo couldn't find what he needed, he should try another shop. This grumpy blacksmith was Kong Dong-ju, a master smith expelled from the Blacksmith Guild for his fiery temper, and currently facing financial difficulties. Hyun-woo smiled at the old man's bluntness. He thought that investing in this blacksmith might be a wise decision. The old man continued hammering relentlessly, each blow echoing through the workshop. He was forging a spear made from rare orichalcum. Though crude and ugly in appearance, it would one day become a weapon capable of piercing a dragon's heart. Terex, also known as the Dragon Hunt Spear, was slowly taking shape under Kong Dong-ju's skilled hands. Hyun-woo finally found the source of the high-grade equipment, the first VIP pro item. It was crafted in this run-down, old forge. Suddenly, a young woman with a lively ponytail emerged. "Oh, we have a customer?" The old blacksmith yelled. "Hey kid, what do you mean a customer? This is a major client." The playful girl responded with a witty expression. "You always just say customer, and now you're making a big deal out of it." Hyun-woo looked at the girl, a slight smile playing on his lips. In his past life, she was his comrade in arms, the renowned blacksmith, Kong Baexian. For years after blacksmith Kong Jong passed away, she inherited all of his forging techniques from her grandfather and became a master in the field. She started to size up Hyun-woo from head to toe, initiating her outfit appraisal routine. A coat worth 1.5 million won, boots worth 1.6 million. The blacksmith girl suddenly exclaimed with surprise and excitement. "Oh my goodness, this isn't just any customer. This is a super VIP. Anything you need, just ask her." Hyun-woo didn't beat around the bush. His eyes lit up, sensing a lucrative opportunity. Typical dwarf behavior. But who can resist the allure of gold? Anyway, Hyun-woo has successfully caught the shopkeeper's attention. Now it's time for him to make his move. Baek cheered excitedly. As Hyunuke's total reached 18 gold potatoes. This isn't a customer, it's a fattened calf. Yeongdu asked Hyunuke suspiciously. You don't look like a mage. So why are you buying unrefinable magic metal of jug, dakjiak, and midran alloy stones? Are you laundering money? Baek stammered defensively. Don't be ridiculous, sir. He must have his reasons. He'll figure out how to use them. Hyun. UK replied without hesitation. I need these materials right now. If the quality remains this good, I'll be a regular customer. The shopkeeper sighed and reluctantly agreed. Hyunwoo said goodbye to Baek, promising to see her again soon. She cheerfully invited him to visit the shop more often. The image of Baek collapsing flashed through Hyunwoo's mind. He silently apologized. I'm sorry for dragging you back into danger, like the others. For having to put you on the battlefield again. This time, he was determined to protect her at all costs. Back at the hotel, Hyunwoo noticed a mysterious man watching him from afar. His gaze was filled with suspicion. Hyunwoo began experimenting with the items he'd acquired from the blacksmith. Before his break ended, he needed to increase his ability to manipulate metal weights. This would allow him to enhance his resistance to toxins by absorbing special items. The system suddenly announced the metal absorption countdown. 19 seconds until toxic metal absorption. After the absorption process, his poison resistance would be significantly improved. Normally, this process would take a similar amount of time. But now, Hyunuke possessed the breath of the forge within his very being. The metal orb gradually entered his body, slowly dissolving, until the system displayed information about a new skill. Skill name, Flame Breath Furnace. Due to the active forge, metal absorption efficiency has drastically increased by an additional 250%. However, along with this exceptional effect, the practitioner will endure excruciating pain. This warning message continuously resounded, repeating endlessly in Hyunuke's mind, making him feel incredibly frustrated. He screamed in agony, "Shut up, I know already." Hyunuke thought to himself, time is running out. I have to reach Seoul Station before that horrific event occurs. Despite the agonizing pain, he tried to encourage himself. I must absorb all of this energy, no matter the cost. Lee Hyun-suk gritted his teeth and endured. 2 days passed in this manner. A mysterious man was secretly watching Hyun-suk's every move. Hyun-suk. He led his boss to the very place where Hyun-suk was hiding. The man pointed at the hotel and spoke to his boss in a condescending tone. That brat has no idea what he's doing, hasn't even shown his face outside for 2 days. Inside the room, the energy absorption process seemed to be nearing completion. The system suddenly issued a warning notification. You have been infected with various toxins. Stage 2 of the detoxification process has been activated and is currently 81% complete. You have absorbed all the necessary metals. The current amount of metal Hyun-suk can control is 17,499 grams. Metal detection capability has been significantly enhanced. You can detect 500 grams of metal at a distance of up to 135 meters. Hyun-suk could clearly feel the extraordinary power and the miraculous transformations taking place within his body. Stage 2 of the detoxification process was progressing much more smoothly than he had imagined. The amount of metal he could control. This ability allows the young man to control around 60 sharp throwing knives simultaneously. Just then, the system panel suddenly displayed a new notification. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through and unlocking the first potential. The first potential has been unlocked, and the host has also received a special skill. Skill name, Metal Shatter. Rank D. Effect. Focus mana to destroy a certain amount of metal. Mana consumption will depend on the mass of metal to be destroyed. Application. This skill can be used to destroy objects made of metal. When activated, Metal Shatter generates an extremely powerful force that destroys metal. This skill will be a powerful asset for Hyun, allowing him to disable an opponent's equipment. With this skill alone, Hyun can completely break through an enemy's defenses. Suddenly, Hyun sensed a dangerous killing intent approaching. Just 2 seconds later, the door to the room was suddenly blasted to pieces. The crazed gang leader appeared with a furious expression and a furrowed brow. He didn't seem surprised to see Hyunwoo there. Hyunwoo calmly spoke up, identifying himself as a soldier. Therefore, he refrained from resorting to violence. He advised the gang leader to leave before he lost his patience. Hearing those words, The man became even more enraged, snorting like a provoked bull. He charged forward, roaring incessantly. You're about to get beaten to a pulp, and you still dare to talk back? Facing a madman brimming with murderous intent, Hyun Yuk remained unusually calm. With a single, swift movement, he neutralized the man's punch. The thug's eyes widened in disbelief. What the hell? Hyun Yuk coldly advised him to leave, to avoid causing a disturbance and bothering those around them. The commotion had attracted everyone's attention. They began to gather around to watch the spectacle. Ignoring the warning, the madman stubbornly attacked. He launched a devastating kick, aimed directly at Hyun Yuk. As he struck, he roared, "Keep acting cocky in front of me." Hyun Yuk effortlessly dodged the potentially fatal kick. 2 days ago, he might have struggled to deal with him, but now things were different. Hyun Yuk decided to counterattack. That Wonjun guy took one hit, and he's practically seeing stars. Hyunwoo looked down at him sprawled on the floor and said coldly, "Lee Wonjun, let me ask you something. Compared to what I did to you before, this is nothing. But why are you acting like this? Just one punch from me, and you're already losing your composure?" For an arrogant guy like Wonjun, he couldn't stand this humiliation. He continued to glare at Hyunwoo with burning resentment. Noticing that Wonjun was about to use his powers, Hyunwoo became worried and quickly warned, "Using your powers here will hurt innocent people around us." But the madman didn't care. He believed that the lives of these insignificant people were worthless. Hyunwoo, though worried, suddenly had an idea. He bolted out the window with lightning speed. The only way to minimize the destructive force and protect the building from being demolished. Seeing his enemy flee, Wonjun immediately gave chase without hesitation. And so, the two engaged in a fierce battle, unleashing powerful skills that created earth-shattering explosions. The ground trembled beneath them. Hyunwoo began enhancing his body, establishing a perfect combination of skills. Thanks to this, he effortlessly dodged every attack from his opponent with spectacular agility. Wonjun was utterly astonished as he witnessed Hyunwoo change his attack trajectory mid-air. He landed softly on the ground, thinking to himself, "My body in my past life was never this free and agile. But now, by seamlessly coordinating these techniques, I can completely control this body with ease." Suddenly, Wonjun launched a sneak attack from behind. He was Serta. Hyun Yuk had indeed picked up some interesting moves in the military, but those childish tricks were only good enough to fool kids. He attacked relentlessly, but Hyun Yuk calmly dodged every blow. All the residents in the building were captivated by the intense confrontation. Guan Chun started taunting his opponent. He called Hyun Yuk a cowardly rat, only capable of running away. "Try attacking me like you did before," he yelled. With those words, he lunged forward ferociously. The two continued to clash fiercely. Everything around them was affected by the terrifying power. The entire building shook violently as people panicked and fled. "It seems like an awakened is causing trouble downstairs. I've already reported the incident to the association. Let's wait patiently. That guy's still attacking relentlessly. Hyun Yuk is still dodging every attack. Countless eyes are on them. As a military officer, you're not allowed to retaliate without authorization. If this gets out, this action could very well ruin his meticulously crafted plan to participate in the assault on the Hell Gate at the Seoul station." Seoul. The surrounding people simultaneously pulled out their phones to livestream the event. Comments and shares flooded the internet. Wonjun understood that perhaps Hyun Yuk was hesitant because of the massive number of viewers. He wouldn't dare make a reckless move. Excellent. Now we just need to find a way out of this mess. He was planning to destroy the entire building, making everyone inside vanish from this world forever. Hyun Yuk furiously spread his arms and yelled, "You bastard! Are you going to bring this whole building down? Can't you see there are so many innocent people here? They have nothing to do with me." But the madman was truly beyond redemption. He considered those people to be nothing but worthless trash that needed to be eliminated, simply for daring to anger him. He lunged forward, roaring furiously. "Trying to stop me? Then drag your worthless carcass out here and fight." Hyun Yuk could no longer stand idly by. His face flushed crimson, his ears burned, and his blood boiled. He decided to give that bastard what he wanted. Hyun Yuk activated his ability with a sharp glare. He directly destroyed the device beneath the man's feet. At that moment, the system issued a notification. Skill information, Iron Fist. Title, Mana Devourer. Description: crushes a certain amount of metal. Mana consumption will vary depending on the amount of metal the skill. Effects: instantly, Gu Chun's equipment shattered into pieces. Blood spurted from his leg. He clutched his leg and screamed in agony. "You bastard! What did you do to my leg? Stay away from me." Hyun Yuke stepped closer and asked one last time, "Why did you have to go this far?" The madman, though scared witless, tried to growl. "What kind of ridiculous charade is this? Do these insignificant flies dare to bother me? Well then, I'll have to send them to hell, won't I?" Hyun Yuke retorted casually, but with biting sarcasm. "Now I understand. No wonder a filthy rat like him was abandoned by the pack. Bullies like him, lost in their delusional sense of pride, don't deserve to be called true gamers, because they always betray their teammates." Even now, Lee Wonjun stubbornly roared. Hyun Yuke pointed directly at his face and warned, "Never show your face in front of me again. If you dare, I will cripple both your legs. You should get down on your knees and thank heaven that I'm a soldier." Hearing these threats, the madman began to tremble before Hyun Yuke. Now, he wouldn't miss any opportunity to protect his teammates and avenge what happened, stolen by a despicable person like him. After the fight ended, the police quickly arrived at the scene. At the awakened Special Task Force headquarters, Hyunwoo stated that he was only trying to stop Lee Wonjun's actions. That's all. His statement perfectly matched the witness accounts. The police officer reminded Hyunwoo that Lee Wonjun was an extremely dangerous individual. He considered Hyunwoo incredibly lucky, because in his entire career as a police officer, this was the first time he'd seen a low-level player like Hyunwoo confront a higher-level player and walk away unscathed. Hyunwoo just chuckled awkwardly. He also lied, saying he was lucky to escape because the steel pipe in his leg suddenly exploded.